Hi guys, and welcome to this review of the Feiyu FYFG gimbal. This is just initial thoughts on the gimbal, having received one and read all the reviews and everything. There's some interesting aspects to this. I'll get on with demonstrating it first, but we'll come to some interesting things later on. So, the gimbal itself. It's a very nicely made little device. Most of the parts are metal. Even the GoPro style clip on the end here is actually is a metal one rather than the GoPro plastic one, so it's actually very sturdy. Even though you can see the screw heads are very small, it does feel like that's not going to go anywhere, and probably the plastic GoPro setup is going to break before that will. The battery compartment isn't the best in the world. It is, you've got a little knurled screw here that comes off, and you can see the battery setup inside there. Two custom batteries. It comes with 4, but you can see the batteries in there. But it's a little bit loose, and it's certainly not waterproof. Water resistant at best, but to be honest, if you're planning on taking it anywhere with any serious amount of water, you're going to have to think about some sort of retrofitting, and that's probably the theme for this entire review. Is as it stands out of the box, honestly, what were they thinking? But it has so much potential, and the price means I won't moan too much. Anyway, so that's the device itself, as you saw. And I've also fitted the lower of the 2 points where you can actually mount the GoPro points. There's another one on the back here. There's a standard camera mounting point in the middle with the 2 screws either side, which fits the second GoPro mount, like so, with another 2 pair of screws that also provided. I don't know if you can see that there. So I'm not going to bother with that for the moment, because honestly it's not the way I'm planning to mount this. So I'll put that back in here. So the device, you stick the batteries in it and you turn it on. Wrong! Don't do that. That's exactly what I did. The instructions actually do warn you about this, and it goes a bit berserk. It needs the weight of the camera in order to be able to actually function correctly. It vibrates all over the place and everything, so don't do that. Hopefully it won't have done any permanent damage. It seems to work fine, but yeah, it wasn't a nice sight. But other things that come in the box for you, you've got an adapter cable, or connector cable rather, to download firmware and things. You've got a whole host of little sticky pads and things to basically attach its to stuff. You can see here, these are pretty much standard GoPro. Anyone who's done much with the GoPros will recognise these from everywhere. And most importantly, you have a little bracket there with the screws on it, and more knurled little screws, which is to fix the GoPro to the device. And very interestingly, and something I was not aware of, something not touched in any of the reviews, a tiny little cable. You can see here. This cable is to permanently power the GoPro via the gimbal. So you can actually mount this in place on a car or something, and have it powered permanently recording, and you have a monitor capacity with this, an analog monitor feed, and it basically plugs into the back, which is under this little patch here on the gimbal. You peel this off basically, well, I'm presuming, because I can feel it under there, and it shows it in the diagrams that come with the device. But the small white connector cable here plugs in to the back down here, and the other end goes into the GoPro, and that gives you the video and also gives you the power for the GoPro. So that would actually give you remarkable permanent fixture. The only problem you've then got is obviously taking the cards out every now and again, but if you stuff something like a 64 gig card in the GoPro, I'm sure it'll go for a very long time, particularly if you've not got a high frame rate. So yeah, very interesting. You've got a few other little bits and pieces there, but they're honestly not that interesting. Another mysterious piece is this little chap here. This chap, I was completely baffled by until I saw somebody having it mounted statically. I think it's actually probably for shops, so you can actually position it thus. It's quite hard to show because it's black on black here, but it actually it sits it statically so it doesn't flop all over the place, because there's so many moving parts in this thing that it's actually quite difficult to get it to sit still to be displayed. So that may actually be a display device. I can't see you using it for real, because let's face it, if you've got a gimbal, you want it to be a gimbal. Why would you lock one axis? Maybe to save battery power, but I can't believe the device knows about it. So I think that's probably just a thing for showing it off, basically. So mounting, right? Okay. Here we have a GoPro Feiyu 4. Fits the 4. It apparently hits the 3 and the 3 Plus as well. Yeah. So mounting, interesting. There's a couple of different options with this. You see on the web a lot of people mounting it this way around. So basically, the lens to the centre, and this makes some sort of sense, because the centre of the GoPro, where the lens is now exactly lined up with the actual centre of the gimbal. So one assumes that gives it the best stabilisation, which makes a lot of sense. However, a bit of a fail on this front is you can't get to the port or the memory card. So in order to actually go and take the video off it, every single time you have to detach it out of its mounting little harness and set the video out, which is a bit silly, basically. Yeah, so that's, and in fact this is how they actually show it mounted on the front of the box. So yeah, okay, it's not a massive pain, but the threads aren't small. They're very long threads, if you can see that there, and they do go in nicely, but they do take a little bit of pulling out. So it's not the fastest thing to change over. If you're wanting to go and just quickly whip it over and change it over, it's not very good. Well, likewise with the battery, you can see here the battery cover on the bottom here is actually covered by the frame here, because it actually goes all the way down to here, the battery cover, so the door is not going to spring open, basically. So again, if you want to actually change battery, like you're always going to want to, you can't do it. So again, that's two fails really. So anyway, let's not beat it up too much before we actually turn the thing on. So if we go and set this thing up, which I shall just now get into. Just a matter of screwing these knurled screws down. Nice little, easily to use thumb screw things. See, it's not super fast. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but you are having to faff around a bit. If you imagine you just got a load of footage and the battery's run out and you're thinking, oh, go quick, change the battery. Yeah, change that battery. Just get that there. Yeah, okay, right, okay, we're done. Right, so there it is mounted. And if I show it sideways there, see it all mounted. And you can see how it's going to clear all the way around. It does stop at different points. You can see that. It doesn't go round and round and round. It has a certain amount of movement, but honestly, you're never going to, unless you're doing backflips or something with the thing on, which I wouldn't advise, you're never going to use that amount of motion, so I wouldn't worry about that. But anyway, so you can see how that's going to work there. Put it on the flat surface and turn the thing on by holding down for 2 seconds, and it's working. And you take that up. You move it up, we move it around. And this is on pan mode here. So if you move fast enough, you can actually catch it out. If you heard the click where it hit the actual metalwork. So if you're really rotating very, very fast, it would be a problem. But realistically, not an issue. So yeah, that's kind of cool. If you grab hold of it and move it downwards and hot for, like, as the manual says, half a second, it now takes the new position. So if I look really far down, you can see it now locks to that position that I've given it. So in a situation something like skiing, which is something I'm interested in doing with this, you would basically point that down the hill at the angle that the slope is going at, and so it locks onto it and go, and it will now stay remaining on that angle, and you're good basically. So it is very effective. But anyway, that's just working there. So yeah, no problem at all. Right, so what do you think of that? Wow, one major flaw, which basically renders it completely useless: no housing, and no space for housing. What on earth were they thinking? It just boggles the mind, basically. You've got a action camera that can't be active. Yeah, breathtaking stupidity, basically. It's hard to imagine the meeting where they sat around and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get those cool action cameras, and we're going to mount them, and it's going to be stabilised and everything. It's going to be brilliant. Everyone's going to want to use them. Where are they going to take them? Well, round the house. It's just crazy. I mean, I'm not going to take that on a ski slope. I'm not going to take it on a mountain bike. I'm not going to take that on a canoe. It's just walking round. Yeah, maybe. Shooting wedding footage or something? Yeah, sure. Action camera? Nope. Anyway, so all is not lost. Do not despair. We have a casing here, and as you can see, it's not completely unreasonable that it might go on there. And if we look at the weights, the stock GoPro is 78 grams, according to my kitchen scales anyway, and the housing is 62. Which brings you to 143 grams, which does sound quite a bit. But then you look at the instructions, and the instructions tell you, well, the specification tells you, that the maximum camera weight is 150 grams. So we're good, basically, weight-wise. Clearance is a little iffy, and that could be a problem. There is a little demo, a little video the guys put on YouTube that I'll link to below, that he shows doing this modification, and it seems to work. So I have faith that it's going to pan out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it, basically. But yeah, fundamentally, utterly stupid idea as it is. Brilliantly engineered. Seems to stabilise wonderfully, nice and cheap, complete fail. It is quite amazing. Anyway, so with that aside, and I will do another video with this, showing the modifications and how that works once I've done them. I need to buy a new backdoor for my GoPro, because basically the modification involves drilling through it, and I don't want to be left without a waterproof housing. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll go through that another video, and I'll do like a demo of putting the whole thing together. However, other interesting things which haven't been covered in other videos were actually how you might use this thing. So if you're going to put it onto a pole for, say, filming while skiing, it's just simply a case of you've attached the bracket at the back of the you see I'm just screwing on the GoPro standard accessory pole. This one's waterproof, well, most of them are waterproof, but this one's waterproof and extendable and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's if I can, you can see that's yeah, it's gonna work. The the clamp is going to have to be very tight, let's face it, because if you, it's going down. So I'm not 100% about that. Remember, it's got another clamp position on the bottom, so that is a viable option. Basically, putting the end of this pole on the underside of here and clamping it in there. I'll try that shortly and see how well it works. It may be that if you just really wind this up, it'll stay pretty good. I'm giving it a bit of a wobble there, but it's still going down. You know, the gimbal obviously adjusts, so it's not the end of the world. You don't lose your shot or anything. And yeah, I mean, maybe a bit of Loctite, but you know, it's not the best idea. So that needs a bit of thinking about, because while it fits, is a good idea. That much weight on the end of that thing, yeah, you can imagine going over a bunch of vibrations on a slope or something, and yeah, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down, and well, really, okay. So it's again quite good. Gonna need some thinking about. It might just be putting it on the bottom will solve the problem, but yeah, well, we'll see with that. I'll come to that in a second. We'll try that in a minute. However, the other option is a GoPro harness. And really, this is what I bought this for. This is the way I intend to use it. This is why I'm not so bothered about the pole. Basically, I'm not good enough skier to be doing interesting things and holding a pole in one hand with it, trying to track somebody else. So this way, I can just ski, forget about it, and look at the footage when I get home. So just clamping it on. You see it's going to go like that. It's going to sit on your chest like that, and it's going to just sit and track and lovely smooth footage. And when you get the thing I was talking about before with the just moving it down like that to face down the slope, so you can see there it's now angled. Now when I do that, look at that, nice and steady. So that works. Concerns I had was if I had a big impact and this bit went into my chest. It's not really sharp or anything. There's an edge to it. I'm not crazy about the idea, to be honest. I could put some sort of a padding over it. I mean, I'm going to have a ski jacket and everything else on, so it's probably a limited amount, and you're not going to really hit impact on your chest when you're skiing. Snowboarding, no way. I would seriously think twice about doing it for snowboarding, because if you go down on your chest, you go down hard. I would, yeah, I don't know about that. I think probably helmet mount is probably a way forward there. Yeah, skiing, I'm not so worried because you don't really fall over on your front. It's mainly on your sides and stuff. So yeah. That's, but it's going to be good for mountain biking as well, with the proviso that I sort out the waterproof casing, because otherwise it ain't going anywhere except back. So yeah. Anyway, that's looking pretty cool. It also doesn't look completely ridiculous when you've got it on. I did go and have a go with it, and yeah, you've obviously got some pretty serious camera kits in the front of you, but it doesn't look completely mad anymore. Any more mad than having a GoPro, or not much, on the front of you. So you look serious, but it's not like you've got a full camera crew with you or something. So yeah. Anyway, that works. That connects. I'm using the I don't remember what they call it now, the J mount or something, which pulls it up to the top of the plate on the GoPro, which means it doesn't extend so much into your stomach. And you can see here the actual sort of overshoot is all about 2.5 centimeters off the bottom of the plate. The bottom of the plate is here basically, and then obviously down there is the end of that. So again, it doesn't extend that much, and it's probably talking about 10 centimeters to the top of this thing. It really isn't that enormous for it all. So anyway, so that's pretty cool. You can have different other mounts, obviously, but it'll just work with anything GoPro. So that's initial. I'm just going to go and try fitting the bottom bracket, and I'll get back to you and show you that one. Okay. Okay, so I've mounted it on the underside point, as I demonstrated before. You can actually put a second GoPro mounting point here, and it works really well. To be honest, I'm quite impressed. This is the same sort of vibration thing I did before, which like resulted in an immediate fail. It's just fine, it doesn't move at all. If you're using it on a pole, it's definitely the way to go. I mean, this is one of those big, long, extending pole things, and it's, you know, I can imagine. Well, it's not going to show you much here, but I can imagine using that in all sorts of situations, and it isn't going to budge. Some other thoughts I had about this while I was playing with it was the angles you're going to be able to shoot. So this is sort of a, you know, going down the hill, filming somebody kind of an angle, which, yeah, great. But if you then sort of want to come up and start to do something else, it's, yeah, if you're trying to get over something, obviously you're going to immediately come into a point where this is in view at the front. You can, with a bit of, get this right, a bit of foolery, go and reposition the camera on the underside. So if you're trying to shoot over the top of something, you can do this and have it on the big long pole, and it's nice and stabilised, and you can shoot over the top of that big crowd of people, and it's great. And that would work really well right up to the point where you try and go down a hill. At which point I'm going to have to try this out and figure out if this is the case. This may come into shot at the top. It might be out. It's about 170 degrees on the wide angle on the GoPro, so maybe. Anyway, it's a bit of playing around with that and seeing what sort of happens in the footage. I mean, if the worst going to be worse, you could crop it, but you know, who wants to be doing that? Anyway, so that's the initial look at this. So I'm planning on 2 more videos, one showing the modifications to the thing, assuming they work. Well, in fact, even if they don't work, I'll show them not working. And a third showing the results, hopefully on the ski slopes shortly. So yeah, watch this space. Thanks. Bye.